He says, I must educate Elon Musk. What is that? No, the one of Twitter.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. I must educate Elon Musk. Why must I educate Elon Musk? He looks like an illiterate. The only thing that protects him is his white skin. Elon Musk wants to learn about this song. The records are there in court. Let him go and read the judgment. Let him go and listen to my arguments in court. I argued successfully and paralyzed the grandchild of Oppenheimer. This matter is closed. We have no time for nonsense.
Hello and welcome to the channel. Let's talk latest developments between South Africa and the USA, and this relationship is quickly deteriorating. As we see now, Elon Musk is coming directly for Julius Malema. And then the next thing is that the MKP is taking Afriforum to court on a case of treason. Do they have reasonable prospects for a success? We'll take a look at that. And then, as you know, Donald Trump signed executive orders, to give, at least out of everything that he said, it was to give white South Africans refugee status in America. And Afriforum turned this down. Are they really under threat, or was it just another false alarm? Now we look at this well-oiled propaganda machine that it seems to be coming in fast and strong, rather, from the USA. What can South Africa do? Can they send a cease and desist? Can they lay counter charges? Because our ministers keep on tweeting diplomatically, but they are out for blood out there. They are playing nice, and already there are people who are taking this propaganda narrative. So let's talk about the strategies South Africa can also employ. And a new one that came out is Ndlozi now speaking out that he was unfairly suspended in the EFF. I think it's bad timing right now, Ndlozi. We are dealing with matters that are of national importance right now. Let's talk about all of this down below. Please give this video a thumbs up as we do that.
I'm not in the business of going around to please people. I only tell the truth. Now, I represent a non-racial organization, but we do not fight for white people. Why? Why should we fight for them? What do you want? What do they want? When you say you are fighting for all in South Africa, black and white, what do white people want? Except to want to remain in a position of privilege. That's what they want. They want to remain in a position of privilege, and we are rejecting that. There is no white person who's going to remain in a position of privilege. We must all be equal. And in bringing the equality, we have to take deliberate decisions to empower the less privileged to be at the same level with those who are privileged. There is no song the farmer. That's a chant. We over-explained it in court. If you have a problem with it, go to the records of the courts. Don't be lazy to read, man, and ask me the same thing all again and again and again. And I won in court. The court said there's nothing wrong singing the farmer. When do we respect the judgments of the court, and when do we disrespect the judgments of the court? When they favor Helen Zille, we must respect them. When they don't favor Helen Zille, we must not respect them. There is a court decision that must be respected. Those who have appealed it, they must go and fight it in court. We won, and we shall sing this song in line with the court decision. The Court of South Africa, an independent court, has made a declaration on this matter and is closed. This is sponsored outrage by Helen Zille. You know, black people, there are some black, clever blacks who are told by Helen Zille to get angry. Yo, Helen is angry, now we must be angry also.
They wait for a magogo with a wrinkled Botox face. How do Botox and wrinkles go into? That's a face of a devil. A devil. Botox with a wrinkled face, pretending that she's angry. If Helen Zille was genuinely opposed to this, I don't even want to talk about that illiterate John Steenhuisen. If Helen was opposed to this for real, why didn't Helen join the case? Why didn't the DA join the case when I was taken to Equality Court? Because I now know how they operate.
Elon Musk just put out this tweet a few hours ago, tweeting, "Why do you allow this, Cyril Ramaphosa? This is a major political party in the South African parliament and their leader is calling for genocide of white people." And in support of that statement, he is retweeting a podcaster who put together some very old clips of Malema where he spoke about cutting the throat of whiteness, claiming this is proof of white genocide. In this video, I'm going to break down 3 reasons why that is dumb as rocks. Firstly, we have to consider the context in which this happened. Malema was talking about voting out a white mayor, using his democratic powers as one of the opposition parties of the city where he wanted to vote out a white mayor. Now, he used the very unfortunate phrase, "we want to cut the throats of whiteness," talking about wanting to remove this white man. Now, that is as a mayor of the city, not remove him from this earth, as in kill him. Those are 2 very different statements. He used some phrasing that is problematic, but Elon Musk is supposed to be Mr. Free Speech. He's supposed to understand the need to say things in a very robust fashion, as Malema did, and which I don't personally agree with. But saying that he was calling for that particular mayor, Athol Trollip, to be killed would be a wild overstatement. He was saying he wants to cut the throat of whiteness. If any of you have studied race theory, you'd know that whiteness is quite a commonly used term to refer to a construct, to white privilege, not to white people. Now, Malema was talking about Athol Trollip as, cutting the throat of whiteness as a political metaphor of saying he wanted to remove him as mayor, which they went on to do to vote him out, which is their democratic right. The language he used was violent, was unnecessary, but it wasn't necessarily hate speech or trying to incite violence. And you know why that is the case? Because no one tried to kill Athol Trollip. No one tried to kill white people based on what Malema said. The second reason that this is a dumb as rock statement is because he's saying to the president of our country, the head of the executive branch of government, "Why did you allow this?" Now, he just had a call with Ramaphosa apparently, so clearly this is like a comeback to say, why did you allow Malema to say this? Let's just backtrack here. When Malema said this, Ramaphosa was president of the country and a head of a political party called the ANC. Malema is head of another political party called the EFF. How was Ramaphosa supposed to go and tell one of his political opponents to stop talking? That goes against the law. It goes against freedom of speech. He would have been seen as a dictator. Maybe in Trump world and Musk world, that is starting to become the norm. But in other democracies, that is not the norm. Malema's statements were problematic to many people in the population. I personally found them way too violent. There were certain bodies that were tasked with looking into that. That is the South African Human Rights Council. They did not look into this particular statement, but the statement they did look into that was even worse was one Malema said a few years prior when he said, "We are not calling for the slaughter of white people, not yet." Now, the South African Human Rights Commission ultimately decided that that was covered by freedom of speech, given the intent and given the history of the country and the fact that he was saying, and he has insisted, and I interviewed him about this. I'm a journalist. I interviewed him at the time and said, "Why did you say that about white people? It was so violent, it was so unnecessary." And he said, "I was specifically saying we don't want to kill them." And I said, "Well, what about that not yet part?" And he insists he didn't mean that at some point we're going to kill white people. Now, I don't exactly believe him, but again, no white people died as a result of that comment, right? And very importantly, back to my original point, Musk asking Ramaphosa, "Why did you allow this?" He allowed it because it's a democracy. He doesn't have a choice. He doesn't get to call out the army and shut people down for saying things he disagrees with or doesn't like. That's not how a democracy works. So asking Ramaphosa why he allowed it shows Musk's fundamental lack of understanding of how a free society works. And thirdly and lastly, the reason that this is a dumb as rock statement and Musk's entire campaign to try to convince the world that there's a white genocide happening in South Africa is so stupid is because, as most people know, he was born in South Africa. What most people don't know is that his mother still has really strong ties to this country. She in fact studied at one of our local universities, the University of the Free State. This university, year before last, invited her to the country, honored her with a honorary doctorate. She came, she was feted by the black rector of the university. She raved and raved after this visit about how wonderfully she was treated by all South Africans of every color. So Musk wants to tell us that white people are being chased out of this country and there's a genocide happening and being treated badly, but his own mother was welcomed here. So obviously not about white racism or genocide. This is so obviously about Musk's own interests. And one of those interests, of course, it is Starlink, his satellite internet company, which he is trying to force on everyone. South Africa said no, or rather, if you're going to come here, you have to do it in accordance with our legislation and our regulations, which aim to uplift indigenous people in South Africa, as is the case in many countries. I mean, Singapore has laws that protect its citizens. So Musk was asked to honor those regulations and he refused. Now he's on a campaign against our racist ownership laws. This has nothing to do with race. I mean, Musk is out there fighting for H-1B1 visas for his Indian workers. He doesn't care about protecting white people or white jobs. He cares about the bottom line. He cares about continuing to be the richest man in the world while he takes away the little from the rest of the world, the most vulnerable people. He's cutting their aid through his horrifying cuts to US aid. And that's what this is all about.
I am telling you guys, if I say anything more, I will be spoiling the pot. They have spoken and they have laid the context for this contentious videos and songs that Malema is being accused of now. He is now the target of Elon Musk. As you have seen that he is responding directly to him and even Malema is responding directly to him. But the dangerous thing is that Elon Musk is not just anybody. He is a billionaire, a dollar billionaire, and not only that, he has close proximity to the US, the one that was able to send airstrikes to Somalia. So at this moment, I think Julius Malema should tread very carefully. Let me know, guys, do you think that is there a way that this could be solved amicably? Because for Julius Malema's sake, I'm worried about his safety, and also the fact that if they launch a case against him indeed in the International Crime Court, he would be then eligible to get arrested here in South Africa or anywhere that he travels. So this would be an interesting one. But the good thing is that it would then move this to an international stage, and then Malema can just talk and lay out all the injustices that have been happening in apartheid, leading to now where the beneficiaries of apartheid continue to want to benefit, and when it doesn't suit them, then they cry race, race, race. The first time that we have now come to understand that South Africa, to come to realize that some people are playing victim and South Africa is the villain. After all the good and Ubuntu that we have shown as Black South Africans, this is the most craziest things. But we know that there are a lot of sensible people who are willing to be part of a new democracy, South Africa. But all those that do not see South Africa as a good place to reside, the refugee status offered by Trump is the best ever. It's like giving them America on a silver platter. But others are mocking them, saying, oh, they're going to be Americaners now, and also they are not going to have the same privilege that they are having here, where they pretended to be master of everybody. And also, let's not forget that this is a refugee status. It is not citizenship, but it can easily lead to citizenship. And if they were indeed in danger as they claim, then this is definitely the right opportunity. Otherwise, they must just come clean that this is all propaganda because they refuse to be led by a black government. That's it, guys. Look, everybody's frustrated. There is high crime that affects everybody. It does not just affect white people, but we're just saying that it is not targeted at white people. And if it is only because they are seen to have, and they are the ones that have money at this moment, because the aim of all of this crime that is going on is just so that people can eat. That's how bad it is. And when this government is trying to bring on restitution to level the playing ground, we are met with this type of resistance. And this is after years that Nelson Mandela said this should be a rainbow nation. And they are right now reversing all of that 30 years of social cohesion, all of the 30 years of reconciliation, and now we are like sort of almost back at square one. The only thing that is left is that people have already done the work, and now what is left is to fight back. Let's talk about it, guys. Let's see also where this Ndlozi one is going. And at this moment, people are calling him the champion of emotional intelligence. He has high EQ because of the way that he did not lash out at the EFF, even though they mistreated him and alienated him. And at that moment, they held him to silence by promising him that the investigation about the allegations against him were ongoing and they will only be released after the NPA. So he was sort of like muzzled that he can't say anything because it would then count against him in this investigation. So it was a clever move by the EFF. Well, only time will tell. Let's see where this one is going. It's definitely a developing story. Now let's talk Hlophe and his team going to lay a charge against the Afriforum. So obviously, I think I have outlined in the previous video that there are definitely a lot of elements that say that the Afriforum were indeed in a position of acting as terrorists and also as treasonous behavior. So it will be interesting to see how this one will work out for MKP, but their track record of court have not always been so good, and we'll see if this one, will they see this one through, or will they then again withdraw. So MKP, please make sure that you are able on this one. Now let's also talk about, guys, what is the South African government going to do? Because at this moment, no country will want to be associated with South Africa being accused of heinous crimes that have not happened, by the way. So definitely they need to lay a charge. They need to sanction. They also need to do things. Come on, Ramaphosa, this is no time to play nice, because the USA is not playing nice, and it's not their fault. There is Elon Musk in there and other South African billionaires that are disgruntled by the end of apartheid and the majority rule that is led by a black government. Obviously, there are things that are not working in South Africa. That is fine. That is an economic crisis that is happening everywhere. Hence, America also wanted a change. Let's talk about this. Please give this video a thumbs up, guys, and support of this channel. And thank you so much for watching until this far. Let's meet on the next video. Bye.